Shanks or Mihawk?
Well, okay, from what I know, Mihawk, because I get my like 5 seconds of Shanks every 300 episodes, so I don't know.
The question, Shanks.
Shanks or Mihawk?
Mihawk is the strongest swordsman.
Shanks or Mihawk? Right here, man. You don't really know, but Shanks or Mihawk?
I didn't even know Shanks was a swordsman.
As you guys just saw in that intro clip, a lot of people took a moment to pause before giving an answer. And I don't blame them for that because this is a question that involves you to think. This is one of those controversial questions where it's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? And then one person goes to saying why it's the chicken and the other person goes into saying why it's the egg, and it's just a back and forth thing and you never really get a response. But what if I told you guys that I have the concrete evidence to what the answer is to this question? And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, after the recent chapters, I thought it was Shanks. I mean, it's kind of hard to argue that, but before we get into this video, let me warn you guys that this is filled with spoilers. So if you guys aren't caught up to the recent manga chapters, please do not watch this video. Do not watch any further ahead because there is a lot of information that I use from the recent chapters to claim my argument. And with all of that being said, let me explain to you guys why Shanks is the stronger man over Mihawk. So to start off this debate, I'm going to be referring to a lot of the points that people use to state why they choose Mihawk over Shanks. And to do that, I'm going to be using this video that Superior IQ uploaded and the reasons why he thinks it's Mihawk over Shanks. In no way, shape, or form am I sending any hate to this guy or this video. Shout out to you actually, because you make very good points and that is why I'm using your video as a reference. So if you're watching this, we cool, bro. Anyways, there's two major things that he points out. The first one is if Mihawk isn't the strongest, then essentially Zoro is just wasting his time. Meaning that if Zoro was to defeat Mihawk and get the title of the world's strongest swordsman, well, it's kind of a fraud because it's like if Shanks is stronger than Mihawk and he's a swordsman as well, the title, you didn't really get it. It's just kind of given to you by omission. And the second major point is that he says that a lot of people say that Mihawk is known more for the better swordsmanship and Shanks is better known for the overall sheer power. And he debunks that argument by saying that Zoro's style of fighting is not just pure sword style. He also uses Haki and uses the strength of his will to overcome his enemies. And to further prove that, well, you just take a look at the recent fight he had against King. Not only was he using his unique 3-sword style, but he was infusing his own Haki into Enma and all the other swords that he had, which led him to have that overwhelming power over King and defeat him. So he's saying, therefore, if that's the case, well then Mihawk has to have some type of Haki as well, and maybe his Haki is stronger than Shanks. Now here's what I have to say about that. First of all, if we're gonna go down that route, well, we gotta put logic into this equation, because if we're gonna say that Mihawk is stronger than Shanks and Zoro to claim the title has to defeat Mihawk's, right, and then he eventually defeats Mihawk, well, you're kind of forgetting that Luffy has to verse Shanks at one point, right? That's the whole thing they've been saying since the beginning of One Piece, that Luffy is to return the Straw Hat to Shanks in the future whenever they meet up. And obviously it's not just gonna be some meet and greet, have some drinks. They're gonna throw down, right? They're gonna show who is the better pirate crew, the Straw Hat Pirates or the Red Hat Pirates. And if we're gonna say that Mihawk is stronger than Shanks, well then that's kind of like saying Zoro is stronger than Luffy. And that wouldn't really make sense in this show. That would literally destroy the whole story, because it's like Luffy is the captain and is gonna be the pirate king, but yet Zoro, the world's strongest swordsman, is stronger than him. Just, you can't, it doesn't tie in, you know what I mean? Now, other things that people use in defense to state that Mihawk is a better swordsman or stronger than Shanks is that he has the Black Blade. Now, there's no arguing that Mihawk is the only person in One Piece that we know of that has the Black Blade, and that is one of the most hardest things to do. Not even Shanks has a Black Blade, so you know, there's a lot of respect going to Mihawk's name because of that. There's also the fact that Mihawk has not used any name attacks when it's come to him versing Luffy at Marineford, him versing anybody for the most part, and yet he's still doing a whole ton of damage. To put that in better perspective for you guys, well, take a look at the recent Egghead chapters. Zoro is struggling against the Seraphim of a young Mihawk. It is unknown if Haki is being used, but we do know that they have Lunarian abilities. And this Seraphim is giving Zoro such a challenging time, especially after a time period after we've seen what he's done in Wano. So this is pretty much his strongest form that we have seen so far, and he is struggling against a young Mihawk who is throwing no-named attacks. That is a very, very good point to state why Mihawk is the stronger swordsman over Shanks. I mean, you got a young Mihawk like doing work to a prime Zoro. Even when you search up the official little biography that they have for Mihawk written by Oda, it states that he looks forward to the day as a sword master will emerge to surpass even his rival, Red Hair Shanks. So there's two things that you can take away from there. One, obviously he is the sword master, and two, it's showing that his rival, right, there's no one else other than Shanks as his rival. And because of that, you can pretty much conclude that obviously he has the upper hand. In these terms, he has the upper hand over Shanks. And now, as all of this does make very good sense and it's very hard to rebuttal, I'm here to tell you guys that I have a rebuttal. But hear me out. There's certain things that everybody forgets about when it comes to this controversial topic that we have. And pretty much here's what I have to say. Number one, Haki is the superior ability to everything that we have seen in the show so far. What I mean by that is there any other ability other than Haki that we have seen that has beat Haki pretty much? Like, the only way to beat Haki is to have stronger Haki. There's no other known way that we have seen that defeats Haki. So pretty much what I'm saying is Haki overwhelms devil fruits, weapons, whatever you want to call it. It is literally the superior ability to everything. And I gotta point out, I mean, who really has the most broken Haki in the show right now? It's always going to be pointing to Shanks because he's been doing some crazy damage with it. I mean, even Blackbeard, a man who has 2 devil fruits, maybe even 3 in the near future, is scared to go on a 1v1 with Shanks or just be in his presence just because of how strong his Haki is. And if that's not enough, let me go to point 2. This guy literally has 1 arm, right? And because of that 1 arm, there's so much things that you can take away from this, right? I mean, think about it. If you have a person that has 2 arms and has the same amount of measurable Haki that Shanks does, right? Who's gonna win, that person or Shanks? Most likely that person, just because he has that 1 up with the arm. But here's what I want to say though. It's not because that Shanks has 1 arm is what's making him like handicapped, I guess. I don't know how you want to word it, but pretty much what I'm saying is, you know how they say whenever you lose one of your senses, all your other senses end up advancing? Well, that's kind of what's happening here because, well, Shanks used to have 2 arms, he lost an arm, and now because of that, he can't really rely too much on his swordsmanship, right? So what does he do? He over time advances all his Haki that he possesses and uses that in his fights. And let me give you some examples of that. Well, look at the recent chapter of him against the Kid Pirates. He's literally displayed the fact that he has better observation Haki than Katakuri, the man who we thought had the best observation Haki until recently. His Conqueror's Haki has been insane since Marineford. People were sensing his presence before he even set foot on land. And then let me say this, I know some of you are gonna hate this, but you gotta remember, he used Divine Departure. There is only one other person that we know of in this show who is capable of using that, and that is Goldie Roger, the Pirate King, who is no longer with us. Rest in peace. If you're able to use something on par with the previous Pirate King, that says a lot. And you know, a lot of people are gonna say, well, time has advanced. A lot of people now, a good handful I want to say, are stronger than the prime Goldie Roger, and so on and so on. But it's kind of like having that black blade, right? No one has that black blade other than Mihawk, Well, no one right now has the ability to use Divine Departure other than Shanks. And that move alone literally obliterated the whole Kid Pirates. It took out the whole ship. It took out Kid and Killer. I mean, what else can you really argue there? And the last thing I want to point out is, be honest guys, what title do you think is more terrifying? An Emperor or the world's strongest swordsman? Now, here's what I gotta say though before you guys answer that. Titles do not mean anything in this show. And let me explain why. So in the recent chapters where Mihawk is being introduced in the Cross Guild, his title is referred to as the world's strongest swordsman. But let's go back to what I just asked you guys. What's more terrifying? A person who is in charge of a whole fleet, like we're talking a whole pirate crew, a whole bunch of alliances, fleets, possibly islands, or just the person who has beat a whole handful of people that use swords. And the majority of those people are either the people of Wano or just that one swordsman of every crew who's really good. It says a lot. There's a lot of strong people in the One Piece world. That's why the power scaling is so crazy. But it's like, obviously you're gonna be terrified of the person who's in charge of a lot of those strong people compared to the people who just use swords. It's just in such a defined area that you can't really use that against Shanks. At least that's what I think. And I mean, look at the resume. Shanks, while the whole Marine Ford was going down, was holding Kaido back, right? And in the past, he's had a clash with Whitebeard, and both of these people have some crazy titles. They were both emperors. Kaido was said to be the world's strongest creature, and Whitebeard was said to be the world's strongest man. And he has went up against them, right? And this is exactly why I'm saying, well, titles don't really mean anything, because if Shanks is going up against the world's strongest swordman, going up against the world's strongest man, going up against the world's strongest creature, well, he's already beat Mihawk in so many ways because of his resume. And because of everything I've just said, here's what I came to the conclusion of. Who is stronger, Shanks or Mihawk? Well, the answer depends on how you view it. There's so much information that is missing that we just can't answer that question yet, because, well, Oda needs to cook up some more chapters. I mean, it's not Mihawk's fault that he hasn't had any features yet showcasing how strong he really is, and that the title that he has isn't a fluke. And in no way, shape, or form, by the way, am I saying that it's a fluke. It's just in the sense of, well, when you ask a person who is stronger between Mihawk and Shanks, and you ask another person who is the better swordsman between Mihawk and Shanks, those are two different responses. Obviously, I'm gonna say, well, Mihawk is the better swordsman, and I'm gonna say Shanks has the better overall power. And I say that because of everything I've just mentioned, so I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys think I've left anything out or you want me to relook at what I was thinking, let me know down in the comments below. I'm all here for it, to hear what you guys think. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I don't really usually do this type of content. Obviously, if you've been here around the channel, you guys know I mostly just do gaming videos, but you guys wanted a One Piece video, and I felt like I needed to talk about this because I've just been hearing this argument over and over so many times. You guys know who you are. I hear it all the time in the Discord. But anyways, this is my thoughts. This is what I've been thinking. And yeah, hit that like and subscribe button for me if you guys want to see more of this type of content. And let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Anyways, I've said enough. I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one. Peace.